Hello, everyone. This is Denise Hansard, a life architect and your host for Stories Worth Hearing. This is where I get to interview wonderful women who are on a mission to create. And today, as always, I have someone special with me whom we didn't meet that long ago, but we really connected. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before we get started. Dana Ball. Dana is a former litigation attorney where she used to sue businesses. And she saw too many good business owners end up in bad situations. So today, as she's changed that, she helps those business owners to avoid common legal mistakes that land them in court. She's got over 20 years experience that's bringing relief and value to small business owners with her practical advice. And she told me some of it before and I absolutely love it. And yet that's not what Dana's going to talk about today. She has a really great story to share with us that I know is going to help everyone. So Dana, welcome. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
Denise. I appreciate it. I love opportunities like this. So I think it's fun. I think that as women, we who have professional careers, I guess, it's just a lot of hats that we have to wear. And that's the point of my story today is I've sought long and hard over 20 years trying to balance those hats, right?
Yeah, so
And
tell me more. Yeah.
so when I was litigating, my oldest kids were 2 and 3 years old, and it was too much. Litigation, you don't have control of your time. And it was really just, I wanted to be a mom, but I couldn't handle the stress of balancing all the balls in the air because you're at the mercy of other people. You're at the mercy of the court. You're at the mercy of opposing counsel, other attorneys, clients, all of it. And so I walked away, and in trying to figure out how I could still be a lawyer and do some good and still be a mom, I did go home and try to be just home. And that doesn't work for me either. Just not equipped to be at home. I'm a better human being if I've got work going on.
Oh my God, I love that. So let's pause here for just a minute because
Okay.
what you saw was your life was not balanced. Like you said, you were
Yeah.
juggling way too many balls. And then you just up and quit. You
Yep.
quit being an attorney, a litigation attorney. And you
Yep.
went home and you said, okay, I am going to just be a mom now because that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you found out that that wasn't all of what you were and who you were.
And it's okay. I was feeling guilty about that. I think that's just normal to feel guilty about that. And I think a part of me still does, even though realistically, I know that it's okay. My kids are okay. They lived through my years of working hard, and they're okay. So
That's
so I
good.
figured out I needed to do something, and I'm not going to get into everything I went through to figure this out. But at the end of the day, we started a new kind of law firm. And what I loved about it was I could control my time, but I'm also helping small business owners stay out of trouble. And when I first went to law school, I wanted to protect employees and remove discrimination from the workplace all on my own, and that doesn't happen. But with what we're doing now, I love it because at the end of the day, we are protecting those employees. So it all comes full circle, and it's gratifying because I'm helping the business owner. If they're protected, they're making money, they're stable, they're a stable business, and they can provide a stable work environment for those employees. Those employees don't want to sue. They don't want to be across
Yeah,
the table from their employer. And this way we're helping the whole picture. And that is so gratifying.
good.
Uh, but as a business owner, I'm a business owner, I'm an attorney, but I'm a business owner. And this is a different kind of law firm. And it took a few years to kind of nail it and figure out what I needed to do. And that is a lot of work. When you're building a business,
Mhm.
you're holding all the hats. You are the HR, you are the attorney, the paralegal, the marketing department, you're everything. So building all of that out and figuring it out took a lot, but we
Yeah.
got it. And And for a long time, I was coasting. I had two part-time people. I had a paralegal, and my sister worked for me, and she handled the phones and the clients. And she was that just the first contact, and she had the demeanor to really handle those clients, and they loved her.
Yeah.
And so that's really where I'm heading, is kind of what happened this last year, because over the last 5 years, I've hired, I can't even, probably 7 different types of coaches. So like what you do for a living, you were the type of coach I hired too. And I've worked hard with different coaches to build sales, and to be organized and build out my systems, and um,
To manage all those different hats.
manage all those different hats. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but it's been beneficial. It's expensive, but it's an investment.
Mhm.
And so one thing that, as a business owner, that I don't think most people realize, and I didn't, is when a tragic life event occurs, you're stuck. You don't get to take the leave of absence that your employees do.
Mhm.
And it can really, it's awful. And that's what I went through this year, is I was coasting, working 30 hours a week, which I loved. We were growing, but at a manageable rate. And my work life was easy, which made my personal life easy.
Good.
And then all of a sudden, my sister got sick. She was diagnosed with leukemia, and she was immediately put in the hospital. And so within 24 hours, I'm dealing with my sister having cancer,
Yeah.
but I'm also dealing with losing a valuable employee. And that was tough. And
Wow.
it really, I can't even tell you. I had to scramble, and I was working, trying to get my phones transferred over to an answering service, and trying to keep the business afloat.
Okay, so I want to pause here because
Okay.
I want you to share, if you will. And if you say, Denise, back off, I don't want to share that. That's fine.
Sure.
That was life-changing, not just for you as a
Mhm.
business owner and the employee side of things, but your loved one, your sister, whom you
Mhm.
also work with. So obviously you do care for each other. That was
Yeah.
devastating for both of you. And
Yes.
I just the little amount of time we've known each other, I know you jumped right in with 2 feet and said, "This is how it's gonna work."
Yeah.
Who took
Yep.
care of you?
Nobody. And that's the thing. I think as business owners, it's easy for us to jump in and work.
Mhm.
We're workhorses. And that was my way of dealing with the emotions I was going through with my sister, is just set that aside. Let's just work. And I did that for a few months.
Oh,
And I was managing, I was managing pretty well, because we actually did enough. I thought our numbers went down last year because emotionally and mentally, I wasn't there did hit a time where I just could not do work. And but somehow we've done the exact same in revenue as we did the year before. And I'm astonished. I just don't know how I was able to pull that off, because um with my sister going into the hospital, I also lost my longtime paralegal.
mm,
I'm one who I've been dreaming about blowing this business up and taking it. I tell my staff, we're building hotels, not houses. If you play Monopoly, we're bypassing the gradual growth. We're just going to go for it.
mhm,
And first, and this is where we were headed this year. And so I just kept going with that.
yeah,
And with that comes change. And we were changing everything, the systems, and she just wasn't excited about change. She was not on my bus. So we had to part ways. And so my critical employees within just a couple of months were gone.
yeah,
And I ended up going through 3 paralegals, lots of VAs, to try and get the help I needed. And it
mhm,
was tough. But what happened was, my sister did pass away in March.
mm,
And I didn't really tell this is like the first time I'm actually talking about it. I
Yeah.
didn't really tell my clients who I was working with at the time because I knew I would lose it emotionally.
Yeah.
So it was safer to just keep it
Keep it.
aside
Yeah.
and
Just
just
keep
do
it.
just keep going, do what I needed to do minimally, right? Because at that point, I really needed a break. I really needed to take that leave of absence, but I couldn't.
Mhm.
Uh,
So what in my heart, as I know all the listeners are going to say their heart goes out to you because we all,
yeah,
any type of loss, it does not matter what it is. It's difficult to process it when we don't give ourselves time to process.
yeah, yeah.
And so
But
what
when
was that?
you're in it, you don't realize that.
You don't. And sometimes you look back on it and you go, oh, wow, that's why that happened. That's why I said that. That's why I wish I hadn't have done what I did or said what I did or lashed out. All of those things. I could tell you my own story with all of that,
Yeah,
because we all have that.
yeah.
So what did it take for you to say enough?
Um, in ironically, I had signed up to start a program with Goldman Sachs 2 weeks after my sister's funeral. And I
Mm.
could have postponed it, but I was just like, no, we're just pushing for, just gonna do it. And that actually kept me focused
Mhm.
to it kept me focused on the business, but it also kept my emotions at bay. So I'm still tucking them down.
Yep.
And in May, I attend a mastermind with other attorneys from across the nation every quarter.
Yeah.
And that May, I was in St. Louis to attend a mastermind. And so I'm in a room with 15 other attorneys that I don't know. One of them I knew from a prior mastermind, but I didn't know any of the others. And you have to bring a question that you want to discuss with the other attorneys because we're there to help each other figure stuff out, what we could do better and whatever the prominent issue is at the time. And
Exactly.
so my question, I just couldn't come up with, I was just kind of taking the easy road. And I said, oh, my question's just, I've got virtual staff now and I don't know how to, um, keep us as a team. I wasn't used to that. I was used to having 3 of us who are all in person.
Mhm.
Anyway, I was on the list to go first. And maybe because my last name is Ball, I'm right at the top. And I start talking. And it was the most crazy experience I've ever had. I lose it emotionally. I'm telling about my firm and I just lose it. And it was the ugly cry. And so in my head, I'm going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You've got to get a handle because all these attorneys. And if you've ever, I'm sure you've experienced working with attorneys before, but we are so
You're
closed off.
together. You're
Oh,
together.
we are together, everything on the outside, just we want to make sure everything looks good, even though we may be a mess inside, right?
Exactly.
And so for me to emotionally break down in front of them was just so I just couldn't believe myself.
Mm.
But luckily, it taught me a huge thing. Um, these attorneys were so gracious, and it was surprising at their reaction. So it's a mix of female and male attorneys, and most of them, the first thing that came out was, Deanna, you've got to hire a therapist. You need to get into therapy because the longer I go and I don't deal with my trauma, it's going to,
Mhm.
what happened that morning is going to happen again and maybe be worse.
And escalate, yeah, yeah. It always finds a way out. And
Yeah.
that's why I ask you the question, who is taking care of you? Because I knew that was kind of where the story was going after you shared that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated. It's kind of sent me down a new thought process in a way. I was fascinated with their guidance to me. Most of them said, we can't practice law without our weekly therapy appointment.
Mhm.
And I mean, they were sharing, and I've never had that kind of sharing with other attorneys. And it was so surprising. And they said, especially us females,
Mhm.
you can't wear all these different hats, be the attorney, the business owner, the mom, all your other hats that you take on in your life that you know, maybe you serve on a nonprofit board, maybe, you know, you're volunteering somewhere, you're taking on responsibilities because we like to do that. But they impressed upon me that they can't do show up as a human being that they want to be without that weekly therapy appointment. And I was just I was shocked. I just couldn't believe, because I've never, with all the coaches I've hired, I've never thought about having a therapy appointment every week. And they've been doing it for years. And I thought that's amazing. And so I left that mastermind, and my homework was to go home and find a therapist.
And I'm assuming you did that.
It was hard, right? Because
Yeah, you got to
us,
align.
it's hard to find somebody that's not sappy. I need somebody who's a mix of a sports psychologist, you know, to keep
Mhm. Keep
me
you
in
going.
line. Yes, but I did find one, and but it's opened up a conversation I now am feeling more comfortable having with other attorneys. So I went back to my Goldman Sachs program, and there's an attorney in there with me, because you're put in, there's like 20 of us. And she was the first one I told the story to. And she's like, I have somebody for you. And that's who I ended up with. That is who I ended up. And I'm just grateful for this.
Mm, that is so perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, as we know, it's about finding within ourselves, what is it that we need?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you listened. And I have to say, I'm glad that you broke down, because it was either that, or who knew what other way it might show up
Yeah.
in your life. And so
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that you had that opportunity to break down and receive the help. And this is what I always tell my clients. It's about listening to what's on the inside of us. We can put up all the artificial look good, we've got the confidence, we've got it all. And if we don't take care of what's on the inside of who we are, it's
Yeah.
going to find a way out. It always does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I've learned a lot over the last few years of really trying to focus on the process to get somewhere. So we've got these big goals that I want to enjoy presently, what's going on in building the business and with my kids and my family. And I think that if we're not real with ourselves, we
Can't.
miss the journey. The journey is what's fun, and I don't want to miss it. I want to enjoy it. So,
Love that. I was going to ask you if there was something more you wanted to tell our audience, and I think you just did.
so too.
Yeah, enjoying the journey and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story,
Yeah,
because I
this
know
was
it will
fun.
help others. Yeah. So tell people how they can connect with you.
I think the easiest way is on LinkedIn. Just find Dana Ball, and we respond quickly. And if I'm happy to do calls. I love connecting with people from all over. So
Yeah, I love that. And guys, I'll put it down into the notes section. So be sure to see that. You'll be able to see everything. Dana, again, thank you. It was a
thank
great
you, Denise, for this opportunity. This is great.
Yes, I love it. So everyone, thank you for listening again to Stories Worth Hearing. Please share this with others, because we love to get these type of messages out. So like, subscribe, share, and can't wait to see you next time.